Hello, and welcome to Andrew Broussard Watercolors. Today, we are working with Sodalite Genuine, Wet and Wet. And I had just started the video, but I had to pause it, so we're going to jump right into it. This sheet is 8x10, Stonehenge Legion, 90-pound toned, pre-wet. And we're just going to let the scene create itself. The main exploration here will be a detailed foreground tree. Let's see if there's anything else I really want to mess with before tackling that. As always, you're always welcome to follow along. You're welcome to sign your own name. And you always have my express permission to sell anything you do whenever you follow along. If you look in the links below, I have the Patreon and the Etsy if you want to support this channel. I also have my book out on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. All right, let's see. I just want an interesting foundation to work on top of. Down here, stretch the paper out. And all right, I think I'm pleased with that. So I want my tree to sit about here. I am mapping it out wet and wet, which probably is not the best idea due to the fact that the paint is going to spread. But I'm going to try to keep it narrow in anticipation of that. I'm going to come up to the sky. Let me pull some water out. So it's going to be different than my normal tree approach. Just trying to see what I can do differently. And this tube really has the range of values that would be great to represent a tree. Okay, let's bring it up to about here. Okay. Now I have been messing around with Q-tips for lifting application lines. Let's use this guy just to kind of selectively wipe out. It really doesn't work as well as it does with oils, but it does have some merit. And you start getting some interesting lines too when it catches a little bit of pigment and drags it. So different than oil in that regard. And we're going to want a darker base to sit in place. So let's anticipate that. And I've been playing with just synthetic oil brushes. Brushes that really don't hold that much water. It will be more prone to dry brushing. But considering it's wet right now, it's just adding pigment wet and wet. I found that this helped whenever I was working with some still life experimentation. We'll see what happens. We lose the calligraphy type aspects from the riggers. It almost feels more like a drawing tool, if that makes sense. Let's see, the underside of groups of leaves, some darker aspects. Amy figuring out the door. So I had to start this video a little bit into it because there's a big old box with mailing tubes in it, and Hammy crawled inside it and it fell off the shelf, and he's okay, but I had stopped the video. I didn't want to do anything from that point. All right, but it's over and done with, and he's okay. This is an old, I think this is more of a natural brush. I'm not sure, but it does seem stiffer and more wild than the other one. Both are from Hobby Lobby. That's probably why there's a lot more fur in this painting from Hammy, because I was holding him. Let's even go in. Let's flatten this. And I'll put a little bit more detail. I'll turn this into a ledge. I've been looking a lot at the landscape painters of the 1700s and 1800s. They always wind up having a ledge that they're looking out from and seeing everything else. Probably just stems from the point that if you're at a higher vantage point, you can get more depth into a painting and just easily with rolling hills. Let's put a bush right here that's going to be closer. Well, Hammy's back to climbing around all over the place. Let's bring that out. Here. Yeah, so it's just kind of a different application using these brushes, for better or worse, or just a difference. Let's see if I can find a scraping tool. I can. It is kind of really wet and wet still, so I might just try to drag a little bit of pigment around. Kind of like how the Q-tip caught some pigment. So I'm not really applying any fresh. I get some interesting marks. I could pull a little bit of highlight out here, a bit of water. Maybe we have a river going through this valley. I can pull out a bit of light right there if I'd like. And I feel like the sky can stay with the way it is. Let's see if there's anything else we want to move around. I don't recall too much of a tonal shift happening with this tube, but we'll do a dry off without trying to move the puddles around, and then we'll see how we can accent from there. All right, I'm gonna pause, we'll do a dry off. All right, this tube is great whenever it dries. There's really no tonal shift that you have to worry about. It has a nice pictorial feel to it. So Pictorialism was a very artsy, old photography movement. Now I'm just going to continue this exploration using these brushes. For better or worse, let me know what you think down below. Yeah, bud, you took a fall, didn't you? This type of painting just feels very guys, be nice, oriental to me. And the reason I say that is because this is how I approach the landscapes and the trees whenever exploring those type of painting movements. But I think that this is fairly common in the old master approaches to landscapes and trees as well. Though whenever we painted in college, we more painted from life and still life. So we had the live models and still lives. Which I don't really recall being like about texture so much as laying the colors side by side and seeing how they interact. But then again, that was, you know, the learning phases and the bigger picture, you know, the overall. I went to painting very similarly with my moon glow experiment. So I'm wondering if we're seeing a change in the approach take place. Or at least it's inspired by these pigments. Using the hake for easy grass. And this is one of the great things about, I always mention of Stuart Davies, where you can sit there and fiddle with it and paint those individual parts, but you can use these massive brushes, and just like Ron Ranson, just like David Usher, all of these people, to create very quickly. And it was just a matter of figuring out the tools. With the paper towel. Let's toss the rigger in real quick. Hey, Persico. A little bit of branches. I do feel like I need something here to stop the eye from going off the page. So let's just try this guy for a wild texture. So essentially using this as a smaller hake brush. I think that's what I want. I want this to come down and around. There we go. Stop the eye, bring the eye back in. Almost like a ramp, a kind of buffer to bring it back around. Let's do a quick dry off. I think that we should just leave this one as is. I'm really pleased with this tube of paint. I think this one I would definitely rebuy, but a little bit goes a long way, so I'm glad that I don't have to worry about that now. So, hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, follow. Thank you to everybody that supports, and check out my book. Y'all take care. Have a great day. Bye.